Okay, we told you so. We told you Elon needs to and most likely will build an X phone that'll bring XAI, Grok, X payments, Starlink, Robotaxi all together on one device, one world, one device, global access. And now we have the clearest roadmap for all of this. Elon Musk just blew up the global telecom companies and global phone companies right out of the water with his revelations at the All-In Summit. I have Brian Wong with me, and we're going to break everything down for you today. Brian is an expert deep tech analyst, investor, a futurist thought leader, and runs the prominent science blog nextbigfuture.com. Welcome, Brian. It is time to take credit.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to be right.
Absolutely. All right. So there's a lot we need to break down today, but let me just bring up Elon's soundbite from the All-In Summit, and let's just go step by step through it and break it down.
I saw in the trades that you spent about $17 billion on some spectrum, and so some couch change to enable your satellites and the Starlink network to connect directly with phones. What will that look like in a year or two? Are we going to drop our Verizon account and just expand our Starlink account? We're kind of hoping, because Verizon kind of sucks.
How many of you want a Starlink phone?
Who wants a Starlink phone?
Oh.
Is it technically
Elon,
possible?
I know you can't see it, but it's everyone.
Yeah, it's everyone.
All right, cool. So this is a kind of a long-term thing.
So very quickly, he says, all right, cool. And this is Elon speak. He won't say those words unless he's not already planning on building a phone, right?
Right.
It will allow SpaceX to deliver high bandwidth connectivity directly from the satellites to the phones. But there are hardware changes that need to happen in the phone. So since these frequencies are not supported in current phones, the chipset has to be modified to add these frequencies. And that probably is a 2-year time frame. So the phones that are able to use the spectrum that was acquired probably start shipping in around 2 years. And then we also need to build the satellites that are going to communicate on those frequencies. So in parallel, we're building the satellites and working with the handset makers to add these frequencies to the phones. And then the satellites and the phones will then handshake very well to achieve high bandwidth connectivity. But the net effect is that you should be able to watch videos anywhere on your phone.
Wow. And it's going to be crazy.
And do these frequencies, would they work indoors inside buildings? Like
Yes.
your phone currently does? Okay.
And so will you be able to have basically
if you're in a building with a thick metal roof, then no. But
no, the same types of
normal homes, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot to unpack there. Okay. Let's begin with the mobile phone. This is confirmation now. And he mentions later that it's perhaps a 2-year horizon for that, because this is am I getting it right? This is AWS-4 spectrum.
The details of it, they call it AWS spectrum, they call it H block, and they call it S band. So there's a bunch of different names for it. Even though I've studied this a fair bit, I have not gone into the total weeds on, every little aspect of that spectrum. Yeah, I've seen the term
for 4G and 5G.
No. The 4G and 5G is the total speed with which you're communicating. The band is just wavelength. It's like the visual spectrum is blue to red or something like that. And then I got red, I got green, I got blue, and then here I got KU band, KA band, S band, L band. It's just names of stuff that we can't see, but it's different wavelengths of stuff.
Correct. So obviously this necessitates the evolution of the hardware on the mobile devices as well, which is why he's been talking to the phone manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Okay. So this EchoStar deal, $17 billion. you've done some research on this. What is it all about?
So EchoStar is a satellite phone company, and so they, well, and also I think they did satellite TV and other stuff like that. So they're an old school company that was offering they were offering geosynchronous satellite, the old satellites, where I stick up one giant satellite or 5 giant satellites up really high, 24,000 miles high, right? So that is 100 times further away than the low Earth orbit satellites that it's like over 10% of the way to the moon, right? So
Correct.
it's like really, really far away that you're putting these satellites, right? So that means you got 600 millisecond, like nearly a second of delay to communicate to it, all that kind of stuff. So now that we put up 8,000 Starlink satellites, EchoStar, HughesNet, DirecTV have lost about half of their customers, right? So they're just, they were the first roadkill for the low Earth orbit stuff that SpaceX Starlink have been doing.
Roadkill. I love that.
Right? So they're the first one getting stomped by it. And so also, they don't have the launch capacity or the ability, they could pay SpaceX to launch, but they would have, like the way this stuff works is that you have the spectrum. FCC says, hey, use this spectrum. If you plan to do something, you got to launch half of your system. So they were going to launch some, I think, MDA direct to cell phone system. So they were working with someone to say, hey, we're going to do that. But that was going to cost them, I don't know, $50 billion, whatever it's going to cost them, right? More than willing to do. And they did not have their act together to do that. So basically then, if you say in 4 years, I'm going to do blah, then FCC says in 2 years, you got to get half of it up. Otherwise, we're going to get you in trouble, right? That's what's going to happen right now to Amazon and Blue Origin related to them launching the Kuiper.
Absolutely.
You got to get 4,000 satellites up. You get at least half, 2,000 up by next year. Next year.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was SpaceX that wrote to the FCC about this and the underutilization.
All of the other competitors would say, hey, FCC, so and so not doing their job, make them give up their spectrum. So it's not just SpaceX. All the other non-EchoStar companies are saying, they're screwing up, right? And then EchoStar sold some other bandwidth earlier. I forget to who. They sold some other one because they're basically like fire selling their stuff.
Okay, so I just want your perspective on this. And I know for a fact that in India, the way that spectrum is seen as a public resource, right, that belongs to the people of the country. And therefore, if a company cannot maximize the utilization of it, it's either to be refunded, returned, and then reallocated. And that is exactly what has happened here.
Right. That's what happened here. Yeah. So they acted in preemptively. Before, say, in a year they get in trouble, they said, well, now just sell it. And the selling the deal was great for them, for their executives and stuff, because their stock went up like 20%. Yeah. Because they got like $8.5 billion SpaceX stock.
So exactly. Which is
huge.
Phenomenal. Long term, that's phenomenal for them as well, right?
Right. And that could be something that other companies that aren't quite as good could say, screw it, I will sell you the bandwidth, give me some shares, I share on the upside way better than I could do, because you're going to go up 100x, from $400 billion to $40 trillion. And I can walk you through that, how I'm serious when I say that. And so they can say, I can go up 100x from here, or like later on 50x or 20x, right? So way better than I can manage my business. Me selling out to you and you taking it and running with it is the better way to go.
Okay. So walk us through that.
Okay, so walking through that is, so right now, SpaceX is worth $400 billion, right? Already almost a top 20 global company in terms of valuation, right? If you go from like NVIDIA, 4 trillion, and you go down the list, you get down to like $400 billion. You're looking at, I don't know, companies like ExxonMobil or Bank of America, in that bottom tier of only 20th in the world. You finally get to your non-tech company that you get out the top 10, right? Other than Saudi Aramco. So $400 billion value right now, and that was trading before this deal and before they get Starship almost nearly working, right? So they're going to keep stepping it up, $600 billion trillion next year. So the other thing is that they've passed. They're profitable now, right? They had some profitable quarters last year, but I think they're consistently profitable now. So they've gone from less than 5 million customers using Starlink, the satellite dish, the flat ones, square ones that are receiving signal, phased array things from these low Earth orbit satellites.
Yeah.
And there's different kinds of customers. There's regular customers, there's business customers. Business customers pay a lot more, RVs, and all that kind of stuff. So they have now set over 7 million customers, right? So they, doubled from maybe 12, 15 months ago, right? And the limitation is not, they can not put up any more satellites, and they have capacity to support maybe 20 million customers, right? They could just keep, and the limitation is how fast can I make the dishes, right? So the giant factory in Texas is making dishes, and that's going to be the largest manufacturer of electronics by certain measures in the United States, right? And then they're going to make it the biggest in the world, and it's a question of how fast can I make the dishes. And the dishes are basically like making a flat screen TV or a flat screen monitor. Same kind of technology that they're using there. So it's like, how many TVs can I make in the world? I can make 10 million. There's 4 billion TVs out there, all flat screen now. And if I can make, total 4 billion, so 400 million per year, you could get up to 400 million dishes per year, right? Because it's basically the same kind of technology that they're using to do this. And so I expect them to get to, and so with the 7 million already, plus their launches, they're making maybe like $15 billion, $16 billion or something like that. And then their expenses are about 10 billion. So they're now making $5 billion of profit. So now if you have a PE of a fast growing company that's at $5 billion profit, say a 200 PE, then you've already justified, $100 billion company, right? But the thing is, it's higher PE than that. It's almost 1,000 PE, right? Because they know the growth is going to be insane. That next year they go to 25 million customers or 50 million customers. Let's say 25. So, or let's 28 million. So we went to 4 times as many than now. 7 million go to 28 million. So we go to $60 billion in income, in revenue, right? And 80%, 90% of that is now profit because my expenses don't go up much from 10 billion. Maybe it goes to 12 billion, something like that, right? So then I make $48 billion in profit, right? So that profit times 100 PE, because again, still fast growth. I'm not dropping down to 40 PE yet, right? So then 60 billion times 100, you could justify a $6 trillion valuation at that point, right? But let's be more conservative. Only 40 PE, same as Nvidia, right? So then if I got 48 billion times 40, a conservative valuation puts me at 1.6 to $2 trillion, right?
Wow.
So that's just only from the satellite stuff growing. I'm just pumping out more dishes, more TV-like screen dishes, right? So, and then the year after that, they go to 100 million users, right? And then that's another 4x. So now I've gone to $400 billion of net income, right? So 400 then times
let's say 40 PE,
right? Then that's $16 trillion. They become the biggest company in the world in like 2 years. And again, it's like how fast can I pump out those dishes, right? I need to be able to pump out 200 million. So that the limiting factor is that factory and also some marketing stuff, and maybe the later customers, I need to go cheaper or something like that. Anyway, but let's say it takes a year longer. I'm too optimistic. Execution problems. Still 2028, a $10 trillion thing. I like shave off the thing by half.
So these are still dishes, remember. These are still dishes.
Still dishes.
Yeah, right. And we're not even talking about mobiles.
Not even talking about mobile yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's like, take India, for example. That's a 300 million plus mobile customer market.
Right.
Just one country. And then you've got China. Of course, we don't know whether China will. They're working on their own satellite networks, and probably for security reasons, China will not allow SpaceX to do that. But just India alone, 300 million plus. Right. You've got all of Europe, America, Africa, Southeast Asia, the whole of the Middle East, GCC. Oof.
Right. And the EchoStar deal was not for this high-speed internet satellite dish, high-speed internet competition. It was for the direct-to-cell phone market.
Mobiles, yes.
Which they started to do with T-Mobile, where they do texting everywhere around the world. They used it for a few 100,000 messages during the hurricanes the year before. It works. And now, like when I went to see the Fantastic Four movie, on the commercials in front, they said, "Hey, T-Mobile's offering our satellite texting thing." They didn't mention SpaceX or Starlink. There's T-Mobile thing. So that's already there. $10 per month in the United States. I'm guessing $5 to SpaceX, $5 to T-Mobile, and they have deals with 7 other. They call it MNOs, mobile network operators.
Operators, yes, yeah. Wow, the numbers are just crazy.
Right, and then
even before you get to mobile phones,
data. Slow data will start October 1st. You'll be able to run apps, WhatsApp, X on your phone via that, and then they'll have full data, and then they'll get voice, October, November-ish this year, and then scale up fully deployed services, Elon calls it, next year, which will probably be 2G speed around the world, which they could have pushed faster to get toward 3G speed to do a bunch of stuff, but there's no need to do that because they need to make the new satellites. They need to change the design to put in the new stuff.
I was just coming to that because Elon as well said, let's just go back to what Elon is saying, and then we can talk about this a little bit.
Vision for this, that instead of having an AT&T account and then roaming when you're in the UK or you're in India, it's just we could have one direct deal with Starlink. It works all over the world eventually, not today, but at some point. Is that the end goal? That basically we don't need a regional carrier. We have a global carrier, and that would be you.
That would be one of the options. To be clear, we're not going to put the other carriers out of business. They're still going to be around because they own a lot of spectrum. So there's, but yes, you should be able to have a Starlink like you have an AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon or whatever. You could have a account with Starlink that works with your Starlink antenna at home for your Wi-Fi as well as on your phone, and it would be a comprehensive solution for high bandwidth at home and for high bandwidth direct to cell.
Could you buy some carriers to have more spectrum? Maybe you could buy Verizon?
Not out of the question. I suppose that may happen.
That may happen. I've always said that. I don't know about you, but I've always said this is going to happen. So a lot there. So let's just back up a bit. Confirmation, right? But just to back up, so he also mentions that there's perhaps one last stack of V2 that's going to go up, right? And then they're looking at V3.
That's for the Starship. V2 Starship, one last one, Probably even I think by the end of this month.
Possibly. So V3, 100 tons to orbit, reusable once they crack that. For the Gen 3 satellites of Starlink, that has massive implications, right? Because these are much bigger. The reach, the shadow of these satellites is much bigger. Capabilities are a lot more, right? So even before we consider mobile, just for data, high-speed data around the world, that is a multiplier, massive multiplier.
Right. So the V3 weigh about 2 tons. The V2 minis launched on a Falcon 9. You launch about 28 of them per Falcon 9 launch. So that's about 20 tons. So each one is about 700 kilos. So you're looking at 2.5, 3 times the weight to go to that. And also the area is like 7 times larger. So they go up flat, and then you want to have it, really, really large area. When it deploys, you want to send it out IKEA, flat packed, and then it unfolds and gets huge. So each of these are flat, and then the solar stuff unfurls, the antenna unfurls, and then you have something even bigger. It's so big that if you have 10 of them laid end to end, it would cover a football pitch.
He's spoken in the past about spinning off Starlink in an IPO.
Right.
And he's also promised that he would take care of long-term Tesla shareholders, retail shareholders, who stood by him through thick and thin.
Yeah.
What's your bet? When do you think, at what point in the evolution of Starlink do you see that happening? Is that end of 2026,
he said
2027?
when the profit growth and is stable and predictable. So he doesn't want
going back to your model that you just walked us through.
Right.
Where does that intersection take place?
The intersection takes place, assuming things go reasonably right. I think that it would be the second half of 2026, second half of next year would be about a point where basically, like I got $30 billion in revenue profit, right? So $50 billion in revenue, right? Which would be about 20 million-ish customers for the high-speed internet in that range. And I got the catch, and I'm launching my first batch of V3 satellites, right? So I've launched, say, I expect 40 launches next year, about 60 satellites each, 2,400 potentially.
Just to be clear, these launches, when you say launches, you're meaning Starship?
Starship launching batches of version 3 satellites, yes.
Right. No Falcon 9 at all?
No Falcon. Well, Falcon 9 is too small to launch the version 3 satellite.
Correct.
You need to use...
So you're saying only version 3, Gen 3 satellites launching next year?
No. They could still launch some small ones. It's theoretically possible. But now, based on the switch up in bandwidth, then once I can launch version 3s, then very shortly thereafter, I would stop launching the V2s, except for some kind of like maintenance thing or, there could be some
I would imagine he'd want to maintain a certain percentage of the total constellation as this V2 for redundancy, perhaps? What do you think?
Once I get 2,000, 1,000, 2,000 of the V3s up, especially because I need new bandwidth. Also, they are going to fly lower. They're not going to be 500 kilometers. They've already filed for the FCC to fly lower at 300. So all this stuff is changing, and all the V2s will become outdated junk by 2027.
And they naturally deorbit over time.
They will have them burn and deorbit them, because especially if I have two things. They can launch V3 satellites even if I do not catch the booster, and if I do not catch a Starship. They deployed dummy satellites there. The only reason they didn't go to orbit was because they wanted to confirm that they could do a burn to deorbit. If I can do burn to deorbit, I can launch anything on the Starships, and the fact that I lose a rocket, that's what everyone else does.
Yeah.
Everyone else loses their rocket after they dump the payload.
Yeah, that's normal.
That's normal, right? But the thing is, Starship would be half the cost of Falcon 9. Falcon 9, reusing the booster, is still twice as expensive as launching Starship. So them launching a Falcon 9 with V2s, version 2 satellites, is twice as costly, and for outdated technology, right? So that means that the cutover will be, I'm going to say, screw that. I'm not paying more money to launch older, weaker stuff, because one launch of the good stuff means I have 20 times the bandwidth going up.
Right.
So again, it would utterly deny. It's like I'm going to keep running the horse and carriage when I got my Ferraris and whatever stuff. It's like, no, I'm switching over to the good stuff. So they will switch over, and the cutover will be next year. Just a question of when. But I think if they start launching regularly, get like 5-10 satellites up, then they say, they would still launch some Falcon 9s because of other payloads, but the Starlink stuff would cut over.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you've got the ISS to service as well, as long as it's up there.
Right. And then the other thing would be that I expect them to for sure catch the boosters because they did that very successfully. So that means the cost would be, if I'm catching the booster and I lose the
even with an
Starship,
expendable Starship,
even with expendable upper stage Starship,
yeah,
I'm 5 times cheaper than the raw, whatever, and I'm 10 times cheaper than Falcon 9.
Yeah.
So then it's like the math becomes nothing. And the other thing would be that in terms of like getting rid of the 8,000 satellites would be that I launched like 2,000 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get to 100 launches or even 200 launches of Starship the year after, right? In 2027. And then that would be 60 times 200, that could be 12,000 satellites, right?
12,000, yeah.
So I think there is some holdup on them getting the full 40,000 that permitted. I think they may only be allowed 20,000. So then you would start wanting to take out V2s just because I need to like replace them with the V3. So take out a V2, pop in a V3 kind of thing. So in order to, until my count is good.
It'll be at a different orbit, right?
It'll be a different orbit, yeah. But my overall allocation from the FCC is only 20,000 or something at this point. They have said, hey, give us the full 40,000. That's going to happen. And then, but then the speed with which they can launch is like 2 years, 3 years from the fully reusable point, and super cheap. So then they would do that.
Yeah. And the timeline is so beautiful. And it's like, the breadcrumbs are so tantalizing because it's just then that the hardware for mobile phones that need to change in order to access this new bandwidth that Elon's spoken about, that hardware will be ready in a couple of years, right? Just in time. It's
well, the thing is, even without that,
it reminds me of that Toyota manufacturing philosophy of just in time.
Right. But the thing is, once they replace with the V3s, higher power, lower orbits, more transponders up there, like more bandwidth stuff, they would already be able to boost the direct to cell phone level up to 3G levels. It'd be like a really pretty good phone. That even but I didn't get the last 5X, right?
Yeah.
But it's already very, very good.
But let's be real, 2G and 3G are still massive markets around the world.
Massive markets around the world. That's right.
In South Asia, in Africa, etc. So there's a lot that you can do with 2G and 3G.
Right. And the other thing is that if I'm only like when I go roaming into Canada or something like that, they're only giving me 2G, 3G, right? Like the T-Mobile international plan is only 3G, right? And that's when I use it in Canada, I'm 3G is slower. It doesn't matter. I'm still getting all my updates. I'm still looking at the news. I'm just not bothering to look at video until I'm on Wi-Fi. Right? As a supplemental, it works great. Yeah.
And remember, one of the main reasons for that is why you have a concentration of 5G in urban areas and 2, 3, and 4G in rural and semi-urban, is that it's the nature of the bandwidth that's used for 5G connectivity, which is you need a lot more towers per any square kilometer density, right? Depending upon the number of users you have. But that's not the case with 2, 3, and 4G.
Right. And if it's 2 years, like I'm saying, they'll all through next year, they'll have 2,000 of the V3 satellites up. It'll be like 10x or 20x the current bandwidth that they're using to give basic voice and data and text. So then they'll be 20 times better, which is well into a good 3G service, right? Next year. And then the year after, they'll be heading toward 10,000 satellites. So they could be getting to low 4G even without the new chipset, right? So they're going to be very, very good. And then the speed and quality of the internet stuff, which also improves with the new satellites, that's also going to be really, really good. So the power and strength that they have is huge. And if they pick up a couple of more deals on bandwidth, they could pick up some more bands that already are accepted by the phones. So they could get another 5X. And the thing is, the companies would know that if I don't do the deal now, when you it would help you to double or triple your service for 2026 and 2027.
Right.
If I wait till 2028, you know 50 megahertz of their owned services coming, in late 2027, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, if I wait till 2028, 2029, I
It's too
already
late.
have 60 megahertz, or I didn't deal with
Yeah.
someone else,
Yeah.
and then you're out of luck. It's like the first come will get the better deal.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I look at I look at markets like India, which is one of the biggest markets in the world. You have, apart from the government carrier, you have 3 private carriers, right? Vodafone Idea is one of them that's in a lot of trouble. Right for there's been so much of discussion about whether Elon will pick up a stake.
Yeah.
And that can be replicated across Africa, across Southeast Asia, across
Right.
Europe. Vodafone's been in a lot of trouble recently, right? Their new CEO, the CFO who stepped in as a CEO to take over, has done a fantastic job cleaning house. But
the other thing is that there's a huge incentive for SpaceX, Starlink, and Elon to offer his phones at a lower price, phones and service at a lower price. So you think, well, in the United States, you can get to $150 family plans, you can get to $50, $80 whatever plans, but fine, I'm slower, but I'm going to do it I could go $30 per month, but people aren't so attracted. But I go at $15, $20 a month, plenty of money, but I want more. Why do I want to get my billion people or 3 billion people fastest? Because then I'm the one controlling the on-ramp, and I can give them X payments, and that could be where I make even more money. Everyone's using Grok. So I win on Grok, I win on payments, I win on banking. So then they use it as a loss leader of like the people who, in the early days of the phones, where like everyone's giving you free phones, trying to give you some free services to get the signups. So getting the signups at 3G is plenty good enough to get the signups and getting to 3 billion. Because getting to 3
there's
billion.
also the long-term promise.
Right.
Once you're in.
So once you're in, I'm going to monetize it. I don't worry about it. But I get you in. I want 3 billion people as fast as possible. I'm going to be giving you, when you turn it on, you see X right away. The search is that. The Grok is, Grok 6 is there.
Yeah,
all that
payments.
Search. And then all the stuff about OpenAI. Oh, OpenAI is better. They have 1 billion users. Facebook is better. They have 3 billion people. All that goes away. Now I'm doing it. I own.
Okay, so this is what we've spoken about here on Over the Horizon in the past, Brian. You and I, right? In our deep dives, we've talked about Perplexity tying up with Motorola. We've talked about Perplexity trying to make a bid for Chrome. We've talked about Microsoft trying to get. Everybody's trying to get AI onto their device, because that is the interface for the user. On-device inference is the next big thing. There is nobody better that place than Elon to just profit massively from this. And here's my bet, okay? And I want your thought on it. Elon's signposting of this hardware change that's going to come about for mobile phones in 2 years. It's not just about Starlink. It's not about EchoStar. It's not just about, this whole mobile network connectivity. It's also about AI on device inference. Everything coming together in 2 years. That's my bet. What do you think?
Yes, everything is about AI inference. So I'm written a book with Randy Kirk about super intelligence, super AI, and I've been looking at AI a lot. Jensen, Elon all talk about inference. So there's training, making your brain, and then there's inference, using your brain, doing work, doing agent stuff. So the inference part is huge, where the bulk of all the AI activity is going to go. And actually, it will go a lot to small language models. So the 250 billion parameters or less. So you have the big ones, 10 trillion parameters, 100 trillion parameters. You still need those because I want the extreme top intelligence for stuff like the best coding or beyond Nobel Prize winning science. So there's huge value for that. But for everyday work of...
You don't need that.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
Not at
So I'm
all.
going to condense it down into a 250 billion parameter. I still want, reasonable amount of intelligence, 250 billion parameters. AI5 is tuned to that, right? To the 250 billion parameter thing. They will want to get that level of chip as low power as it can, a AI5 Lite into phones, right? So another reason to get your phones out there is to have AI5 Lite phone. And then they'll have AI5 full, and then later AI6 in Tesla bots.
Yeah.
And because Tesla, go ahead.
And my personal take is that AI5, that silicon for AI5, a lighter version of that is what's going to go into the phones.
Right. AI5 Lite is going to go into the phones. We agree.
Yeah.
So the other thing would be that, but the AI5, so they're going to get to 3 billion phones. It'll be AI5 Lite, but then in the Tesla bots, which will also go to 1 billion or more Tesla bots, they will all have AI5 and the AI6, right? So then they will have a distributed inference data centers. Everyone else can make data centers. If I can get you to pay for your device, and we will both make money on the inference, the bots with 3,000 watts of power versus 5 watts on your phone will have 100 times more power, 100 times more compute, right? Which means that Elon said, I want to make a terawatt of data center as fast as possible, right? But if I have 1 billion Tesla bots, that's 3 terawatts of distributed data center, right? So then that's going to be his huge advantage. And the thing is, you paid for it to get your bot, which is a combination of C3PO with the intelligence of R2D2 they can communicate to, and it's going to be connected to Starlink communications, and it will make you money by doing inference problems for everyone else as well. It'll do inference problems for you and inference problems for everyone else. So you will have a phone, you will have a bot, maybe many bots, and they will be providing inference and everything about the AI inference. So that's
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about taking over carriers. How scared do you think, how concerned, how worried do you think global telecom players are right now?
Well, it depends about how I don't think they necessarily need to be worried. It's a concern, right? But it's also, it can make them more money. They can become more profitable. In terms of worry, it's like if I'm an executive, right? I'm looking at this thing, and I know that realistically, SpaceX is going to win it all, right? They're going to win it all, but they won't get everything because if I'm a national phone company, I'm NTT Japan, I'm AT&T, right? Then because of national reasons, and even the United States, even
absolutely. Absolutely, I completely agree. And there's BSNL and MTNL in India, and but that's again one of the main problems, one of the main hurdles for SpaceX in getting their downlink licenses for many countries, including India, is national security.
So then for those situations, SpaceX must do a deal 50-50, 60-40. The 40 could be SpaceX with that other company, right? And then that other company, one, gets to reduce their capex on cell towers, to 20%, right? So I save money on that. I save money on backhaul, moving data around. I can just move it now on the laser communications, right? So my costs go way down, right? And SpaceX will give me 50% or 60% of the profits on the stuff that we use.
I just share
the spectrum, right? So it's a great deal. I save money. I make more money. I'm more valuable. I was paying someone else for cell towers. I was paying someone else for backhaul. So now I'm just paying SpaceX. So what?
Absolutely.
So then that all wins. There are weaker players, EchoStar, HughesNet, Globalstar, etc. And some of them could have some strategy thinking that they can survive, right? But the thing is, also AST Space Mobile, a new startup.
I was just about to say that. Absolutely, because I was at Project Kuiper, One World, all of that. So here's the thing. If you can't get to scale, at planetary scale, quickly enough, then the cost of offering your product to the users is a lot higher.
Right.
One of the main benefits of being able to provide a solution at scale across the world is that you can not only can you undercut the market, you could literally begin by giving your product away practically free.
Right. So the thing is, if you think back to the early days of radio and TV, right? You had independent radio TV operators. I come up, I get my little radio tower. I'm starting offering radio and stuff, and I go to my TV station. I'm offering TV, right? I'm making money. It's good. I'm a rich family owner. We're multimillionaires, all that kind of stuff, right? Then CBS, ABC, NBC come along and start rolling it up, and they say, okay, we'll have a nationwide version of this thing, and we will now, and you'll make more money. An ABC affiliate, CBS affiliate makes more money. Same deal. I can, as a SpaceX affiliate, EchoStar becomes SpaceX affiliate now. HughesNet becomes that, or they even sell into it. Like some of the radio station, TV station guys sold to the network and then became a ABC owned thing, and they cashed out, right? But they know trying to live by myself as an independent radio station is a less profitable way to go, right? So, and also has high risk that they could put out of business. So it's like, you don't say, okay, this other thing is better and more efficient, and I can make more money by joining it. You join it, right? You say, okay, yeah, sell out bio. I would like to own a piece and stuff like that, and then it's negotiation. Do I sell it completely, or do I, do like EchoStar, half cash, half shares? Like if I was them, if I could have done, like 25% cash and the same 5% shares, I would have gone for that, right? But SpaceX probably said, hey, we don't want you to have that much shares, so they probably wouldn't let them do it.
Yeah.
But they also need, so.
Or is it just a lot more? Does it make a lot more business sense to just outright do a cash deal for all of stock in a company, in a carrier that just isn't?
Yeah, just not making it. It's like, in my view, they should recognize that SpaceX is gonna, 50x, 100x from here, and that if they can get any shares of that, they're going to make a lot more. It's a question of how much cash do they want to do whatever they want to do, to pay down debt, to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, because that's essentially paying down debt is the major reason why cash was part of the deal for EchoStar, right? But what I'm saying is for SpaceX, once that flywheel starts spinning, perhaps even before they get to mobiles, right? Given the numbers that you've run us through, SpaceX could just outright buy out companies,
right?
Companies, right?
They could just do that.
Why would they want to give SpaceX stock to a company that's anyway going to be super reliant on SpaceX ultimately?
Right. Yeah. If once they start, they're rich in cash. So I'm saying next year, and definitely the year after, they're rich in cash. They have like $50 billion in cash, or by the year after, they could have $200 billion in cash. So then they can do all cash deals. They can say, hey, I got a bunch of cash, I don't want to do shares, and they can manage a cash pile, right? So at that point, they could do more cash deals. Right now, they want to,
Yeah. Next, and the supplementary question to that is it easier to do that once Starlink is spun out and then listed? For a listed company to then take over, it would be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Well, then the PE of the shares could, once the private markets could go up, right? Like I do an IPO, let's say it's next year. So it comes out next year, IPOs at $1 trillion to $2 trillion. First day of the trading, it pops up to $3 trillion, $4 trillion bucks. So now my shares are inflated and easier to do deals, and also the acceptance of the shares, even though they're higher cost, is higher because they know how I can sell those shares, right? And then I can choose when I want to do it. It's all liquid, so that's the advantage of that. So it would be better for them once they have a listing to do that. Which is another reason to do the IPO is that one, he can take $200 billion. The trading of it would go up by double. The PE would go up by double, roughly. Just ballpark numbers, and then but there's listing. There's regulatory thing, troubles that you have to go through.
Yeah, but it's and the regulatory troubles would be less for a listed company rather than a privately held one.
It depends. Like we just saw with the shareholder lawsuit with Tesla, that there's dangers of being publicly traded. But I think they can manage that. And also once
I think activist shareholders now are less of a concern.
Well, they've changed the rules so that, like
Yeah.
in Texas, you have to have over 3%
Correct.
of the shares in order to
In order
initiate.
to, yeah.
And then it goes to a specialist judge. So it doesn't go to a jury. So
Yeah.
they're more bulletproof on that. But it is something where there's hassles with being an IPO. But, at that point, I think Elon will have that all managed. And IPOing, he can say take $200 billion, and then he can buy and do anything he wants. I'm sure he has even bigger plans. As big as these plans are, like the pay package on Tesla going to 20 trillion, SpaceX already going even faster to 20 trillion. Based on my scenario, as bullish as I am on Tesla, SpaceX, I think, grows and gets faster because it's already more for Elon's
I
wealth
hear
than
you.
that.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
One of my biggest regrets in life was not being able to get into SpaceX right now.
Right. So then if he has it does the IPO, it gets $200 billion in cash.
Yeah.
There's no concern about him having to raise money for anything. And then all of his Mars plans, he would have 10 years of NASA budget to do his Mars plan with $200 billion. So he'd be completely free to do anything he wants. He maybe wants to buy other companies himself, whatever the reason.
Yeah,
so
because this is the cash cow that propels SpaceX to Mars, and that it funds that dream that Elon has.
Right.
So it's obvious to kind of see the intersection of that.
Right.
Okay. So you've done quite a bit of research on the EchoStar deal. What have we not considered yet?
The bandwidth, the S-band bandwidth that they go through, it is lower bandwidth. So actually, pound for pound, not quite as good in terms of speed, but still plenty good. It's still a 6-lane highway, going each way, versus a 2-lane, one road going each direction, like what T-Mobile is. So the width of it is very important. The 5 megahertz in a lane, right? So 50 megahertz is 10 lanes. And you could probably use 8 for down, 2 for up, or 9 down, 1 up, because the upload is a lot less than what it is. So that's another thing that helps them with that. And the other thing is that the S-band penetrates stuff better. So we talked about going through, walls and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So one is in decibels. If I hold a phone in my hand, I lose 3 decibels. If I go through a wall, a wood wall, I lose 10 decibels. If I go through a bunch of tree cover, it's that. But this new S-band stuff goes through material better. That's also why, let's say down the road, they get radio or TV spectrum, right? And they get allowed to repurpose it for this, right? We know that radio signals, like AM radio, it can go through 10 feet of cement or something like that, right? It's really, really good to penetrate. The old TV signals, going into people's homes were easy on the penetration side, right? So getting that kind of spectrum down the road. So not all spectrum is equal. Which ones can go through stuff better lets you do more things. So then if they become the dominant thing of okay, pretty much all phones are that, all high-speed internet is that, then the FCC would say, you're the $10 trillion behemoth or $40 trillion behemoth, then we should free up the frickin' radio and old TV spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And then turn it over to that, right?
Yeah.
Those guys are trying to hold on to it, but now there'll be a big deal. And they will
because ultimately every government will want maximum utilization of spectrum.
Right.
Because there are earnings for the government for that as well.
Right. Right. So then the government could also say, to your point, instead of letting the companies take it, these companies with radio spectrum and TV spectrum, if I'm a government, a thug government, or even just a shrewd government, I'm saying, give me all that old radio and TV spectrum back, and then I'll resell it, auction it back off. It's going to go to SpaceX. They're going to win the auction, but I'm going to re-auction it. So I'm going to suck that all back, and then it's going to go back to. So then the other thing would be that the companies that want to do a deal know that if I don't do the deal now,
exactly,
the government's going to take my spectrum back, and they'll auction, and I'll get nothing.
Yeah.
So that is the reason to accelerate the deals. Is because,
and this applies to carriers as well, existing carriers as well.
Right. Yeah. So then if it may not be that AT&T, Verizon, they're the only ones. If this thing is 10 times, 100 times bigger, and generating 10 times more money for each bit of spectrum. The regulator saying, or the government saying, holy crap, if I take all the spectrum back, re-auction on the sale, I can make $1 trillion, because they're, you know, $40 trillion company. I can make $2 trillion off that, and then I could get tax or fees of $1 trillion a year, right? It could literally take over, you know, 2 or 3 times the tariffs. It could be as much as payroll tax, right? It'd be like, suddenly I can cut all taxes. We're only taxing SpaceX, and then we have no taxes on anyone on the planet, because it's just like everyone does that. So the fact that you are 100 times better means that it's only in the right thing for India, for all the other countries and stuff. And
yeah,
China
I mean, even here in the GCC, you have Etisalat and Ooredoo, which are not just like massive players in the region, but also beyond.
Right.
Like you've got Ooredoo in the Maldives, and you've got Etisalat that it's picked up stakes in various other carriers across the Southeast Asian canvas. So I was just as you were saying that, I was thinking about this region, and GCC countries are just so plugged into the future. They're like literally future ready, and they think so brilliantly, and they've got the capital to deploy.
Right. Right.
So it's a perfect like amalgamation of everything, right?
Right.
I was just thinking, how long? And I'm sure many of the investment funds here already have a stake in SpaceX, correct?
Right. Right.
So then, if Starlink is spun out, how does that play out into this entire market?
Right. Right. Well, anyone who has SpaceX, if you get the Starlink IPO, it would be like 1 share of SpaceX becomes 1 share of SpaceX and 1 share of Starlink.
Correct.
And there's also will be multiple IPOs off of SpaceX. So what I mean by multiple IPOs, so Starlink is only all communications, right? Well, what else is
Right.
there? Star Shield and Starfall is that you can IPO making mass producing GPS satellites, mass producing sensor satellites.
Do you think Starshield, because of national security issues, do you think they'll IPO?
There's multiple versions of that. And yes, they can IPO.
To be fair, I mean, you've got like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and all of these also that are listed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So you have that. You'll have a version of that's the military Starshield, and then there'll be the other commercial Starshield, which would be satellites that do GPS. And you can have the GPS in the Starlink satellite, but you can make different versions of satellites, right?
Yeah.
So all the different flavors of satellites could be a different vertical that I pop out as an IPO, right? So it can be a perpetual cash register for Elon as he does different versions of things, right? And then he could do like the, some moon related thing, build something there, and then
because I mean, communications infrastructure, off-world communications infrastructure, is the next big thing. And if you have a monopoly, let's be honest, SpaceX has like literally 96% this year of mass to orbit, global mass to orbit.
Right.
It's literally a monopoly, right? For all means and purposes. And if you can leverage that monopoly to build, I mean, communications infrastructure, labor infrastructure, everything for off-world use, beginning with Starfall, in space manufacturing, the transport infrastructure to the moon, Mars, asteroids, and then labor for mining, etc. Good God, this is, I mean, so if you thought Tesla was crazy when you talk about the numbers, wait till you consider SpaceX.
I know. And then the other thing would be that for people saying, oh, that Tesla deal is so crazy, why do you need to do that? It's like, you need to give him that 12% of the gain in order to like take his attention, because he literally can make all that money from SpaceX, like way more money. And it's like,
why would he waste his time? I mean, the only limiting factors are time and intelligence, right? There's no shortage of intelligence. It's only a factor of time. Time is a limiting factor.
And then people talk about X and XAI and saying, why do you set XAI? XAI became $80 billion of the $120 billion that is the merger of X and XAI. And so he took nothing and made $80 billion out of it, which he owned over half. So he got $40 billion of that. And then if Grok 4.2, which is coming out, which looks like it's going to be the best model, and then 4 fast coding, and then 5 by the end of this year, he could have the best AI. If the best AI, then he's worth more than OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
So then
And
OpenAI at 300 billion going to 500 billion.
Yeah.
If he has $500 billion for X, that's $250 billion, right? So again,
and by the way, he dropped a really tantalizing hint in that interview at the All-In Summit, where he said probably by the middle of next year or the second half of next year, you'd have XAI or AI that's smarter than the smartest human in everything,
right,
which is AGI.
right, and then it'll be smarter than all people.
Yeah.
How is that not going to be worth $1 trillion, $10 trillion, $1 trillion next year, and then 10 trillion? So again, and he'll have over half of that. So Tesla board knows we got to get him up to 30%.
Absolutely.
In order to like, because has so many options of like, he will have like, by 2030, 2032, he could have multiple 20 to 50 trillion dollar companies.
Yeah.
There's scenarios where SpaceX is $100 trillion, right? And it's like,
easily.
Yeah. So just like nutty how much it would be. And of course, you have to like each of those companies, please make us a $10 trillion company. Because he can just like, oh, I'll spend, a weekend doing it. Okay, here it goes. Boom. It's that.
So here's the thing. Okay. Elon said only AI and robotics can solve the national debt problem.
Right.
The government is basically unfixable.
Elon, only.
I applaud David's noble efforts in this. It's good to have talented people in the administration, but at the end of the day, if you look at our national debt, which is insanely high, the interest payments exceed the Defense Department. War Department budget, and they keep rising. So if AI and robots don't solve our national debt, we're toast.
So then, and we've discussed this in the past. Does Elon pay off the national debt?
If a full bullish scenario of communications, air cargo, passenger air happens, and Tesla bot happens, yeah, he pays off the national debt. The taxes that he gets on his Elon could be the only person taxed in the United States because he could then pay the taxes of everyone. And so it's kind of like that $40 trillion, $70 trillion.
Then he single-handedly propels America into the age of abundance.
Right. And then the other thing is that people who are complaining about it, if I buy $160,000 worth of Tesla now, and he takes it to $400 billion of EBITDA, then that's a 20x. You get $2 million. He would make you a multimillionaire. Is it worth it? To give him some money? It's like I can give you the tip. And then for SpaceX when IPOs and does whatever, and then runs from 2 trillion to 40 trillion. Again, it's like buy $200,000 worth of SpaceX Starlink IPO, and then in 7 years have $1 million. It's kind of like people who say, "Oh, I don't want to do it." Like, join the winner. Why don't you just carry you along? It's like you don't have to do anything. I just have to
take my money.
Take my money.
Take it already.
Take it already. Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so one last layer that I want to build into this entire fascinating deep dive with you is so we've talked about the EchoStar deal, we've talked about the phone, the convergence. What does that do for his other companies?
Right. So how to help with other companies? So it makes Tesla bots far better and easier because they'll have high-speed communications everywhere they go. They'll be able to have the communication. They won't have to pay for it for all the AI inference that they're doing, downloading stuff into those things to then compute and then get it out again. The robotaxis will be better. Robotrucking will be better. Have tight communications. You would also be able to have the robovan. People forget about the old robovan, which is moving rooms. I have a room. It's like, you have the restaurant trucks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Any business. I
Yeah.
can have any business. I can move it. Any kind of rescue operations.
Yeah.
All buildings move. It's like that's what the RoboVan is. All buildings, all equipment can move.
Yeah.
Right? The equipment can come to you. The factory can come to you. Everything comes to you. It's all powered. It's all connected. Everything is
And as Elon
moving.
likes to say, the party will come to you.
The party will come to you. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then the communications, energy delivery, because they will be able to transmit power as well.
Yeah.
So, energy, communications, power, location, all of that will be coming. Timing, like it'll be delivering many more things, like the timing thing, like nanosecond, picosecond precision, location down to the millimeter. People who say, "Oh, I can make it work in the lab. I can make it work in the factory." They'll have anywhere on Earth. I can be in a camping zone, like in Antarctica, and the power and the precision of power and everything that I'm getting delivered to me from space will be better than any lab, any factory, any warehouse, all wired up now. So it will make the world a total communication thing where everything just works.
You won't recognize the world.
Right.
In 5 years, you won't recognize the world.
Right. You won't.
The party's coming to you. Give the man his money already.
That's right.
Brian, such a pleasure. What an
Thank
absolute pleasure it is being brainstorming with you this
Okay.
past hour or so. We've talked so much, and we could talk till the cows come home.
Right.
But you have to go.
Right. And we have not even talked, we have to do another video about Tesla bot Optimus, all the stuff released there. AI5 chip, AI6 chip, a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. So much.
So much.
Thank you for your time. I so appreciate it.
Thank you.